Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Atlanta Thrashers franchise mode here in NHL 21. So in last episode, we simmed a little bit of the season, and we also made a trade. The main reason was because we wanted to get our offense going a little bit on the third line because Kuznetsov was a little quiet. So we brought in Yaroslav Likachev from the Calgary Flames, and so far he's not been super well of a player. Like, he's more of a playmaker, even though he is listed as a sniper, which is pretty much the exact same thing is that Kuznetsov is. Kuznetsov is listed as a sniper as well, but he is more of a playmaker, which is kind of weird. But so yeah, that didn't really help us out that much, and we are still on the outside looking in terms of the standings. As you can see, we are 12 points back of that last playoff spot that the Devils have. So there's more than likely a chance that we are going to miss the playoffs this year, which kind of sucks, but at the same time, we are still a young team, so it doesn't really matter that much. Now, we do have one comment to go over before we get into this trade deadline. That is from HawksFan88. He says, I think it's smartest to sell your older and try and tank the rest of the year, which I agree with. I was thinking we should probably be trading at least a few players on our roster. Those players being Mark Savard, who's in the last year of his contract. He's put up some pretty good numbers with us over his career, but I think it is time to move on from Mark Savard at the deadline, just because we probably would have to let him go in the offseason anyways. And then also Mike Fisher's another one of those players that we could potentially trade away if need be, just because his contract is also up this year. We could always trade away guys that we signed in the offseason last year, but I don't think that's kind of realistic to sign a guy and then trade them at the deadline right away. I mean, that does happen in real life, but I would rather trade guys like Savard and Fisher, who've been here for a few years. And then we could also trade away probably somebody like Tony Lidman, because Tony Lidman's been with us for the last 1.5 seasons. He's been pretty good, but we do need to make up some roster room on our defensive core for like Pedersen, for example, or we could call up Wall from the AHL, who's already NHL already, I think. Yeah, he's already 78, so we are going to have to make some trades to get our younger guys into the lineup, and then yeah, that's pretty much what we'll do. We could always trade away also guys like Novoseltsev, Hossa, Pandolfo, and Johansson, but most of those guys were recently signed, so I don't think we would do that, but I definitely think we should move Savard and Fisher, and probably Tony Lidman at least, maybe even Tom Poti. Maybe not Tom Poti because he's only 30, maybe we keep Tom Poti around for the next few years, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, let's get into this trade deadline and see what we could maybe make a trade for. Hopefully we could get some good prospects in, because I didn't actually take a look at what potential trades we can make ahead of time, so I'm gonna be winging it to an extent. So let's get into this trade deadline. We're gonna go in as a seller. Yeah, we'll go in as a seller. Why not? I was thinking conservative, but might as well just go in as a full-on seller. Okay, so yeah, Mark Savard does get put on the block, which makes sense. Mike Fisher as well, and that's it. There are actually two of the top 10 players in the trade deadline. Let's go. Actually, I could do through the find trade option, see what offers we get thrown at us. So, Mark Savard, what can you fetch us? So, Anaheim's willing to give up their first round pick. Buffalo is willing to give up their first or third and a low bottom 6 prospect. Actually, that third's from Europe, and Europe's probably a really good team. Calgary is willing to give up 2 seconds in Sauer. Ooh, a medium elite goalie prospect. I don't think we really need that, though. That's interesting. A first, a fourth in McFarland. 2 seconds, and another Kovalchuk prospect. Interesting. Top 6 prospect, a second in Jagr. 2 seconds, Young. 2 seconds in Rycroft. A first, a fourth in Morrison. I think I might want to just take the first round pick from Anaheim. I could also look at this top 6 prospect. He could be farther along in development, so he might be worth trading for. Let me take a look at how good this Simon guy is. He's a 70 overall at 20. He was a late first round pick. He doesn't look great attribute wise, so I don't know if he's actually going to develop into being something super good. And then the Sjogren guy is probably not going to be an NHL player. Damn, there's already been a trade below. Oh, what could we do? I think I might just do the first round pick from Anaheim. Because Anaheim, I don't know how they've been this season, but it might be worth it. Let's see, Anaheim. Let's go to... Actually, Anaheim just withdrew their first round pick. I wonder if they still would do it, though, if I went to edit trade. I hope they do. Unless they already traded their first. If they already traded their first, man, it's actually really difficult to get that first round pick. They do still have their first, but they'd be over skaters in our organization, so they might have already just traded for a player. Man, so I guess we can't get a first from Anaheim anymore for Mark Savard. Should have jumped on that when I had the chance. I might take Buffalo's pick because Buffalo has first. And I feel like Buffalo is the worst of these bunch. Boston wants Mark Savard, Tom Poti, and Jay Pandolfo. 2 of those players actually played there in real life. But for a first and Bannister only, no thank you, Boston. Decline that trade. Fine trade. Go Mark Savard again. Yeah, I think I'm just going to accept this one from Buffalo. So, good luck in Buffalo, Mark. Best of luck. Just because the other guys, like the other teams were trying to get extra players in that deal for a first round pick. So, like, I don't know how good Buffalo's been this season, but should be nice to get another first round pick. And that one's for next year, isn't it? I think. Yeah, I think that one's for next year. It could be for this year. I could be wrong. Okay, so next we got to get rid of Mike Fisher and then also probably Tony Lidman. So let's take a look at what we could get for Tony Lidman first, because I'm not opposed to keeping Mike Fisher because he is young. Let's go by overall. Tony Lidman. Who's interested in Tony Lidman? Boston could give up 2 third-round picks. Any top 6 prospects other than low top 6s? Second and a low bottom 6. Oh, there's a top 6 prospect, but it's a real player, so I don't really like that. There's a top 6 prospect. It's got 1 year left in Clinge. Let me take a look at how good this Clinge guy is for Montreal. He's a 76 overall at 22. I don't know if he's a real player. He probably is. I don't know. I feel like this guy's a real player just because I've never seen the name Mateo in this. He was a high up pick. Could fit our 4th line. You know what? I'll do this trade, I think, because then we could always play Clinge in our lineup or in the AHL. But yeah, I think I'll just do this trade with Montreal. Why not? You know, I don't know if Clinge is going to be anything huge for us. I would rather just get rid of Tony Lidman. And then let's take a look at... the Sens want Mike Fisher back. Wow, okay. And Jay Pandolfo for a first and Von Fersen in a 4th. I'm going to edit this and see if I can just trade Fisher for the first round pick. It's just kind of funny that Ottawa wants him back because they literally just had him last season and they for some reason want to trade a first round pick for him. First for Fisher, and that's accepted. Okay. That was a pretty easy trade. So I think we already got our trades done unless we want to trade anybody else on our roster. Let's take a look. Do we need to trade anybody else? Let's sort by overall. So Sergei Zubov is probably going to retire soon, and he's got low value anyways. Same with Johansson. We could always trade Pandolfo and Bure, but I don't think it's kind of realistic to sign these guys and then flip them right away. And I think I would like to keep Tom Poti around. I'm not sure about Novoselicev. Yeah, I think I'm just going to leave the rest of this the way it is. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave the rest of this the way it is. And then we're going to exit this and see what trades happened around the league. Kind of interested to see where players go. See if there's any like trades that actually kind of happened in NHL history. So we made 3 big trades, which is pretty nice. And I wonder what happened around the league. Let's take a look at those deadline deals. And then we'll make sure our lines are good to go. And then we will sim the rest of the season. And yeah, hopefully we finish with a pretty bad record and we get a pretty good first pick this year. So Ottawa acquires Ziggy Palffy and Brett Hedigan from LA for a 2nd and Braden Rycroft. Interesting. So Ziggy Palffy leaves LA. Pavel Bure and Jason Strudwick go to Anaheim from the Rangers. So Bure must be dropping off a bit because he only fetches a 2nd and a 3rd, which is kind of intriguing. Nashville gets some goaltender prospect Magnuson and some Hartnell prospect as well for Andrew Ferentz, David Legwand, and a 6th. Interesting. Washington gets a 1st round pick and Ricky McFarland, whoever that is, from Europe for Jeff Friesen, Rick Barry, and a 4th. Okay. We traded Mark Savard to Buffalo. We got a first and a third in row back from Vancouver acquires Jaromir Jagr and Sean Avery from Washington. Jeez. Wow. Vancouver acquiring Jaromir Jagr. I know somebody who's going to like that a lot. Washington gets a first-round pick in Shingtime and Morrison back. Phoenix acquires Fritz and a third from Anaheim for Paul Mara. Interesting deal there. Phoenix acquires a second and a third for Corey Saric, who goes back to Tampa Bay. Ozzy Vananen in a fourth. We traded Lidman to Montreal for Matteo Klinge. Fisher goes to Ottawa from us for a first-round pick, which I think is a pretty good deal, actually, considering we signed Fisher for just kind of depth purposes. Well, actually not really depth purposes, but like third-line minutes, and he goes for a first-round pick. Sean Horkov goes to Calgary with Dan McGillis and two others for a first-round pick and an elite goaltender prospect, I think. So that's a pretty big trade. Ottawa gets a third in Joe Juno from Pittsburgh for a third, Von Fersen, and a sixth. Calgary gets Bear Jackman and Matthew Barnaby for Bemstrom, a second, and a fourth. Anaheim gets Scott Hartnell and a third for a first and Iverson. So Hartnell off to Anaheim, which is kind of intriguing. Edmonton gets that top six prospect we are looking at, a third-round pick, and Hutchings for Eric Brewer and Mark Chouinard. Interesting. I think Mark Chouinard actually played in Minnesota, unless I'm thinking of his brother, because I think he had a brother or something that played in the NHL. I could be wrong with that. Toronto acquires a first and Timo Hutton for Derek Armstrong and Randy Robitaille. Florida acquires Jamie Lundmark, a third and two others from Toronto for a second, a third, and two others. Edmonton gets a first-round pick and a second-round pick for Lubomir Visnovsky, a seventh, and Scott Nickel. So that's a pretty big trade. That one, Visnovsky going to Florida. Ottawa gets Nagy in a third for a first-round pick. So it looks like Ottawa is stacking up their team. And, okay, that's kind of disgusting to see. Ottawa acquires a third-round pick in Matt Sundin and a fourth from St. Louis for a second and a third. Matt Sundin in Ottawa, that is a little weird. As long as he's playing with Daniel Alfredson, that would be kind of neat, though. Edmonton gets a first and a third for Mike Connery and a fifth and Brian Southerby. LA gets Ola Nordstrom and Dmitry Vasinov from New Jersey for Chris Phillips. Calgary gets Jamie Storr and a fourth from Nashville for a second and a sixth. So a pretty busy trade deadline nonetheless. Some intriguing deals, especially like Jagr to Vancouver. Let me actually show you guys what Jagr in Vancouver would look like, just because why not? Add a little bit of time to this. So yeah, Vancouver is pretty disgusting now. Like when you have Jagr, Naslund, Smith, Sedin, Jokinen, Alex Kolik, etc. Yeah, this is a pretty good team. Jagr is dropping off though, so he might end up retiring way earlier than he did in real life, obviously. But this is what he would look like in Vancouver. Kind of weird looking. What about Matt Sundin in Ottawa for fun? I should actually do this every single season. Just take a look at those big trades and see what those players look like in those jerseys. Who was it that I was just mentioning? Oh, it was Matt Sundin, I said, but it might not be Matt Sundin unless he dropped off a cliff. Where is Matt Sundin? Or am I blind? Matt Sundin might have got sent to the AHL. Let me go to the AHL for a sec. Yeah, I got sent down to the AHL. What the heck? Okay, I guess we'll just take a quick look at Ziggy Palffy in Ottawa as well. So Ziggy Palffy in Ottawa at this point in time looks like this. Intriguing. Okay, let's take a look at our lines and make sure they're ready to go, and we'll sim the remainder of this regular season. And then I might sim up already to the awards and stuff like that, just so we can find out where we're drafting, because I don't think we're going to be a playoff team unless we somehow go on a tear down the stretch. Okay, so let's see. On defense, I'm going to take Malik out of the lineup and put in Pedersen and try to rearrange these pairings again to make sure they have chemistry a little bit. There you go. That works. So Pody and Martinez, Zubov and Blugis, Brody and Pedersen. That works. And then who was the other one? I don't want Easton Rowe in the NHL, so I'm going to send Easton Rowe down. Hopefully we don't have any injuries down the stretch, because that's going to be a pain in the ass if that's the case. So we'll go down here. We'll send Rowe down. And I'll have to throw him into the lineup down there. And yeah, we'll play Mateo Klinge in the NHL since he's already technically ready. And I will move him to center though, just because he's a natural center. And down here, we will take Zikov out of the lineup, put Wong back in because Wong should be in. I don't know why I adjusted my AHL lineup, because I need these guys in the lineup, some of them. So yeah, Rowe and Prust need to be in the lineup. So Rowe we would put in over Kiprusoff, I think. And then we'll go here and we'll take out Steen. And we'll put in Chris. When I was in Christie, it was Prust. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So our AHL is ready to go. Our NHL is pretty much ready to go. I'm not going to adjust too much, I think. Let's actually go something like that. Or actually, will we... Yeah, we'll just do something like that. And then we'll move Malkin back up here. Get that first line back to the way it was. Without Fisher, though, we don't actually have a natural center there. But we'll put Pandolfo there, I guess. So there we go. There's our lineup. I'm not going to adjust too much because we're going to miss the playoffs regardless, probably. So let's get the rest of the season simulated and see how we finish the year. We're also going to probably get to the awards and stuff still, even if that takes a long-ass time to get there. Just because I do kind of want to know where we're drafting. I think Frolov was already in the lineup, right? Yeah, he was. Okay. Just got to make sure that AHL team is ready to go. No, we're not going to claim Daryl Sador on waivers. Come on, boys, tank, and hopefully we get a good prospect at number 1 or something. McClellan's been injured, or McLennan has been injured. We'll just go replace player. That's one of our top 4 prospects in the AHL, I think. And he's already back, which is good news. I don't know how good the AHL team has been this season. Yeah, I'll take Christie back out. No, I don't want to put in Steen. We want to put McClellan back in, or McLennan. There we go. Continue to tank, please, boys. We do not want to have any points at all of the season. We're tying a lot of games as of recent, but we are dropping a lot of games. We somehow beat Minnesota 11-3. I don't know how that's even possible, but we finished the season 31-39, 8-4. So we probably won't have the first overall pick unless we get lucky with the lottery. But we do have one of the worst records in the entire league, which is good. Let's take a look at our player stats for the season as well as around the league, and then we'll take a look at the standings, and then we'll sim up probably already to the awards and the draft lottery results and all that sort of stuff. So, center-wise, Patrice Bergeron, 68 points for us, which is pretty good. Actually, it's pretty much as what he's been doing the last few years. I thought it was going to be a little less, but it's pretty much the exact same thing as last year, so pretty good. Hopefully, he continues to get more points. Only 54 points from Malkin this year. It's a little bit concerning, but it is still pretty decent, I guess, considering how bad the team is overall-wise. Kuznetsov, 35 points and a -13. Johansson, 23 points. Klinge had how much points with us? Oh, he did just play 20 games with us, 6 points. And he was only an even 0, so actually he played pretty good defensively. Left wing-wise, Kovalchuk, 80 points. Pretty good for Ilya Kovalchuk this year. His best season so far. Likachev had how much with us? 20 points in 56 games, so not too bad. Definitely a guy that should probably stay around for a little while. He's a pretty good fit, actually, for our third line. Pandolfo, 32 points, not too bad. Hossa, 21 points. Bure, 54. Novoselic, 43. And Chris Neal, 7 points. We are actually not that bad defensively, it looks like, because we don't have players that are super badly minus except for Kuznetsov so far. And then defensively, Zubov had 36 points. Pody had 35. Martinez had 13 in his first season as an 18/19-year-old. Not too bad. 106 penalty minutes, and it was a -1. Hopefully he develops more. Brody, 12 points. And Blugis, 10 points. Pretty good for those rookies or young guys as well. And then Pedersen had 4 points in 20 games and was a +5. And Malik, 1 point. So the future of this defensive core looks promising, I would say. Goaltending-wise, Carey Price went 24, 26, and 2 with a 900 save percentage and a 301 goals against average, so not very good. And then Brian Elliott had an 898 save percentage and a 293 goals against. So he had a worse save percentage than Price, but he had a better goals against. and he had a way worse record. Interesting. Let's take a look at the entire league. So the best forward for points this year was Ray Whitney with 94 points, just beating out Tim Connolly with 92. And then Alexei Ashton also up there at 91. Most goals this year was Whitney and Marlowe tied with 41 goals apiece. Best plus minus this year was Prospel, Richards, and Lecavalier, so that's probably a top line in Tampa Bay, I would assume. Mike Ribeiro also up there. Most penalty minutes by a forward was Brendan Shanahan with 257, beating out Bobby Holik by 7 penalty minutes. Interesting. Point-wise by defenseman, the best defenseman for points was Nicholas Lidstrom with 69 points, which is pretty nice. 21 goals. The next closest in goals for the defenseman was also Niedermayer, tied with him actually, and Redden had 18 goals. So these defensemen are actually putting up a decent amount of goals, which is kind of good. Best plus minus by a defenseman was Greg DeVries and Hal Gill, both plus 37. Best goaltender this year for wins was Patrick Wall with 40 wins at 43 years old. My God. This guy is insane in terms of simulation. He's just like real life. Henrik Lundqvist right behind him with 39 wins, and then Ryan Miller, Nikolai Hebibulin as well. Most shutouts this year was Hebibulin and Vokun, both with 9 shutouts. But Hebibulin, oh my God, a 930 save percentage? Jeez. Yeah, Tampa's going to win back-to-back cups. I could feel it, unless they get swept in the first round. But, wow, him and Jose Theodore both had a 930 save percentage. Jose Theodore didn't have a good record, but he had a 930 save percentage. So I guess the Rangers don't score a lot at all, because he had a really good goals against as well. And best goals against by a starter was Hebibulin as well with a 1.98. My God, Hebibulin is absolutely insane. Like, here is his career numbers so far: 228, 107, and 11. He's got a 923 save percentage and a 2.29 goals against average. This was his best season so far. Like, he's been actually getting better as he's gotten older to an extent. Like, 244, 217, 223, and then 1.98. Ridiculous. Okay, and how about rookie scoring for points? That's going to be Chuck Kopstals of the Pittsburgh Penguins, who just got injured, I guess. 57 points. He is going to win the Rookie of the Year. No question about that. Okay, let's take a look at the team stats, and then we will sim to the draft. So, best team this year in the NHL was the Tampa Bay Lightning, followed by Minnesota, who we won against 11-3. I don't know how. And Buffalo also up there at 107 points. Interesting. We finished where in the standings? We finished 25th best in the NHL, so that's pretty good actually for us maybe having a chance at top pick. Goals for per game, we scored 2.84 goals per game, which was near the bottom, I would say, like in the bottom third. 233 goals. We allowed 3.06 goals per game, which was one of the worst in the entire NHL, but the Nashville Predators were the worst in that category. Power play wise, we were 14.5% on the power play, was one of the worst in the, or 14.8, which was one of the worst. And penalty kill wise, we were 81%, which was also one of the worst in the NHL. Okay, that's pretty good. Somehow Minnesota and the Islanders both had really good records, but they had very bad penalty kills. Like, Minnesota was tied for second best in the league, but they had the worst penalty kill almost in the NHL. It's weird. Maybe that's how we won against them the other night. Huh. Interesting. Okay, let's sim up to the draft and find out where we're drafting, find out all those awards as well for the season already. Just because we need to know where we're drafting so you guys can give me some suggestions on who to go after. Even though all these players now for the next 30, not 30 drafts, but 20-something drafts, they're all going to be EA-generated players, so. Brizgalov, replaced player. I guess Manitoba might have made the playoffs. I could be wrong with that. No, I don't know if they did. And we'll just continue without Brizgalov for now. Who's going to win the Stanley Cup is going to be Tampa Bay again. It's going to be Minnesota. So Minnesota having one of the worst penalty kills in the league doesn't do anything for them. And also the Iowa Wild win the Calder Cup. That's interesting. So Minnesota pulling off the double. Minnesota winning a cup before the Atlanta Thrashers. That probably would have happened if Atlanta would have still been in the league. Let's take a look at who was on that Minnesota winning team. Because I'm kind of curious. So Minnesota, center-wise, they had Todd White, Denis Arkhipov, Mark Bell, and Pierre-Marc Bouchard, who only played in one game. It's interesting. Don't know if he got injured. But still, there is their center core. Left wing-wise, they got Alvin Gill. Oh, yeah, this guy that went to, like, what was it? First overall in 2021. Pretty solid player. They also have Pascal Dupuis, who won a cup. Michael McKay, who they just drafted a few years ago. Yeah, I can see why this team won. Bates Battaglia, Denny Hamel, who actually was with us at one point, right? Didn't we have Denny Hamel? Yeah, we had him for 7 games. I thought so. Right wing wise, Marian Gabrick was still there. Peter Sikora and Dinas Subers. Pretty good forward core. And then defensively, they had Andy Delmore, Eric Brewer, Henrik Tillinder, Nathan Dempsey, Roman Hammerlick, and Nick Schultz. So pretty good defensive core. And then goaltending wise, they had Patrick Wall. I almost forgot about Patrick Wall again, even though he just probably won maybe not a Vezina, but close to it. Damn. Yeah, Patrick Wall went off in the playoffs. So he wins a Stanley Cup with the Minnesota Wild. Wow. Wonder if he's going to retire at 43 or not. Probably is. So that is the Stanley Cup champion, Minnesota Wild. Let's take out the individual awards. I can't speak this morning. Minnesota wins the Cup this year. Tampa Bay won their 3rd straight President's Trophy. Jeez. Only one cup to show for it as well. And it was the Minnesota and Toronto Stanley Cup Finals. So that's kind of interesting. Individual award rise. Ray Whitney wins the Art Ross. Ray Whitney wins the Hart Memorial. Lidstrom's going to win the Norris, the breakup. Dan Boyle's 2 Norris streak. Ray Whitney wins the Lady Bing. Cobb Stalls wins the Calder. Todd White wins the Conn Smythe. Wow. That's interesting. Nikola Hebulin wins another Vezina. That's his 2nd in 3 seasons. He also wins the Jennings for the 3rd straight year. Rhett Warner wins the Bill Masterton. MacArthur for Toronto wins the Adams. Patrice Bergeron won his 2nd Selke in 3 years, so that's pretty good. He's winning Selkies like he did in real life, so that's awesome. Ray Whitney wins the Lindsay. And then Marlowe and Whitney both share the Maurice Richard. Any awards for us in the AHL? Probably not. Nope, doesn't look like it. Okay. Let's now find out where we are drafting. Hopefully we can win the draft lottery, and then I'll show you guys the draft class, the progress reports, and then also the contract situation, and then that'll be it for this episode. So it might be a little bit of a long episode. So Nashville's got number 1. Where are we drafting? We fell from 7th to 8th. That's not too bad still. If we want to, we could try and move up, but I don't know if it's going to be necessary. We could probably still find a good pick at number 8. So yeah, Nashville, Edmonton, who jumped all the way up from number 12. And that was one that they acquired from Florida, which is kind of crazy. Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Phoenix. Interesting. And owner goals, we failed both of them, not a surprise. And that is that. And also retirements. I forgot about the retirements. Joe Sakic already retires, damn. Same with Mike Medano, Rob Brindamore. Pretty big retirement class, it looks like. Fedorov, Kozlov, Zubov retires for us, as I was expecting. 36 points this year. Pretty good season. Glad I actually got to play with him for a bit. Zhamnov, Turgeon retires in Colorado. Kip Miller, Hoagland. Not going to read all these names because or else my voice is going to literally die on me, but I'll scroll through this just because some of you guys probably want to see who had a lot of points and stuff like that during these retirement classes. Thomas Holmstrom already retired. Didn't really expect that, but he was 36, so it kind of makes sense. Yeah, this was actually a pretty big retirement class for the most part. A lot of players that were in Europe and Ottawa, it looks like, I think, as well as Montreal. Darren McCarty, 45 points. He was a free agent. I guess it's because he took a lot of penalty minutes. He didn't end up playing with anybody for like the last few years. And then the rest of these guys are not players I made, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Goalie-wise, the biggest goalie to retire is Ole Kolzig and Tommy Salo, as well as Felix Potvin. Byron Defoe, who was with us in the beginning. Yeah, he was with us in the beginning. And in 21-22, he was dealt multiple times. Trevor Kidd also retires. And then Milan Helenica, who was also with us at one point, dropped down considerably and retires at 34 years old, which is kind of surprising. Jamie McLennan also retires. Fred Brathwaite, and then JF LeBay, and that is it. Interesting retirement class. And coach retirements. Did we lose anybody? We probably did not. I don't think we did. No, we did not. And let's continue simulating. Sucks that nobody that I create becomes coaches, though, it seems like. Anyways, let's get to this draft class, and then we'll take a look at the progress reports and the contracts, and then that'll be it for this episode. So there might be no Shane Wright in this franchise mode, I think, but there is Eden Wright, whoever the heck you are. I don't know if you're real or not. Don't think so, because we're in 2026, but this guy looks like a stud of a player. But we are drafting at number 8, which means we could go after another defenseman that looks NHL ready. This guy might be an elite defenseman, I don't know. It says a lot of these guys are like NHL ready, but I don't know if who we would want to go after. We could always use another center because we did just get rid of Mark Savard, but yeah, this is going to be a tough draft to choose what we want to do, because we could draft one of those guys or we could try and move up, but I don't know what we'd have to give up to try and get into like the top 5, if it's even worth it. Like, some of these top 5 players look pretty good, but there's a high top 6 randomly as well. Any steals for us to pin for next episode as well, because if there's any low elites, we'll definitely pin them. It doesn't look like it's going to be that good of a draft really for depth, I think. Okay, let's take a look at our progress reports, and then we'll take a look at our contract situation, and then that'll be it for this episode. So Frolov is almost NHL ready. We could use Frolov in our lineup if we want to continue the youthful movement. Likachev is getting some growth. Wall is 81 overall now, so Jalen Wall is going to be in NHL regardless next season, which is pretty awesome. Which means I think maybe we do have to get rid of somebody like Tom Poti. And there's some other growth. Not too bad. In the system-wise, we're getting some growth as well. Let's actually sort by overall. Robbins is up to a 76. Damn. Edmonds is still a 76, so he might not be an NHL defenseman, but who knows. He has some good offensive attributes, so we could always try him as a forward, but I don't know if we want to do that. And there's the rest of our development. But I think we are building up a pretty good prospect pool, and this team is going to be a very young and youthful, experienced team to an extent. So there's that. Let's take a look at our contract situation, and then that'll be it for this episode. So here is who is up this year. So Bure and Poti and Novoseltsev and Pandolfo could probably all be replaced, I would say, but I could be wrong with that. Wall is definitely going to need a contract. He doesn't want an extension, but he is an RFA, so we could always sign him to like an 8-year deal, and he's probably going to become that elite defenseman based on his contract wants. But yeah, he doesn't want too much for 2 years. So up to you guys on how long we sign him for. Hossa, Johansson, Malak, Neal as well. And a lot of our AHL guys need contracts too. And then goalie-wise, the only goalie that needs a contract is Brian Elliott, who we could sign for multiple years, but he does not look like he's going to become a very good starting goaltender. I could be wrong with that, but there you go. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Atlanta Thrashers franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to the draft and the re-sign stage as we look to get this team even more young and more competitive. So let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.